Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks, how to get it just right. Thank you so much for joining us for another hour of very impactful and insightful conversation with another amazing international guest. As we get started, like we do every time, let's take a moment and think about why are we a Goldilocks community and why are we talking about unleashing our inner Goldilocks? To me, Goldilocks symbolizes balance. Even when she's a little girl, she knows exactly what she wants and how she wants it. She knows her porridge should not be too hot, not be too cold. It needs to be just right in terms of temperature for her to enjoy it. When she sits down on a chair or lays down on a mattress, she knows it shouldn't be too hard or too soft. It has to be just right for her to fall asleep and have that beauty sleep that she needs so badly. Remember a time when we were that little girl or that little boy? We knew exactly what we wanted. We knew what was going to make us happy. And we knew how to influence all the adults around us, wrap them around our little finger and get what we want, all the while smiling. If we don't remember our own childhood, think about our own children, our nieces, our nephews. What happens to us when we knew that inherently, before we started talking, we knew how to get things just right? Somewhere along the way, as we grow up into adulthood, we've forgotten whether it's social conditioning, what was being put upon us in terms of getting our mindset set in a different way. We've forgotten. And as a Goldilocks community and as part of this conversation, our goal is to get us, help us, support one another to get back to that center. And you may ask, Cass, why should we get to the center? I'm very happy where I am. Are you trying to pursue a career? Are you trying to start a business and you find that everything you're trying to do, your purpose, your passion, everything is right, but something is not clicking? That something is because you're not coming from that centeredness. And here is why I say that. Research shows that we can each influence only three levels from where we are. So if I have staked out a position at the extreme right end, I can only influence three levels towards the center. If I have staked out a position to the extreme left, I still can only influence three levels towards the center. Towards the center being the operative word, because that's where influence is happening. But what if I took the time to look at life through a prism and look at different perspectives and find that centeredness and that balance and come from that centeredness, not just how it's going to affect me, but how do I influence everybody? And am I factoring how this lands on other people? Because how it lands on others becomes my reality. Other people's perception is my reality. How do I then bring the maximum influence? When I move to the center is when the magic happens. I can now influence three levels to my right, three levels to my left, and everybody in the center. The magic of math is my 3 degrees of influence becomes 7 degrees of influence only because I've moved towards the center. If I take positions on either extreme, I still have only 3 levels of influence. But one end, there is nobody there. It's kind of like living in Chicago and one side is Lake Michigan. You can't build anything there. You have to move towards the land side, right? So keep that in perspective because that is what our goal is. And as we move towards the center and help you find your balance and help you optimize your influence, then you're going to get things just right. And through that process, your prosperity and the shared prosperity is going to happen. Even the concept of purpose, your very own purpose lives in the center of what you love, what you're great at, and what the world needs. If you love something and you're great at it, but the world doesn't need it, it's not going to drive your economic engine. It's not going to give you a financial outcome. Money is not everything, but you need money to do anything. It's one of those balancing acts that you have to do, right? how do you drive your economic engine using what you love and what you're great at? And in that centeredness of purpose is when you're going to start making magic happen. So today's conversation is going to be about Dolce Vita lifestyle and what does it mean to be a Dolce Vita leader and how do you build a Dolce Vita organization? So I took a stab at giving you 3 pointers, 3 thought-provoking nuggets as we go into the conversation. One is pursuing purpose makes the magic happen. This is my rendition of me pretending to be Audrey Hepburn, so indulge me. But the message here is look your best to feel your best. Because when you own your power, people pay attention to your purpose. It is a fact that when you show up impeccably, people are paying attention to what you're doing. If you don't show up impeccably, people are looking at you and criticizing, oh my God, she should have done her hair that way. That outfit doesn't suit her. That jewelry doesn't match that outfit. All these conversations in people's heads are not allowing them to pay attention to you and what you are saying. So be very mindful to show up, not just the way you look, but the way you present yourself. Own your power and therefore invite people in to pay attention to your purpose. The second nugget I want us to take into the conversation is take that leap of faith. The beauty of life is all about perspective, right? Goldilocks herself is all about perspective. And keep perspective in mind and know that you can play hard and you can work hard and both are possible. Work doesn't have to be a drudgery. Life doesn't have to be all stress. There is a beautiful balance. Remember when we were young, everything was fun, everything was magical. Embrace that ability to see that magic because it is all perspective. And ultimately, graciously dance through the challenges of life because that's where you're going to thrive and that's where you're going to build the shared prosperity. When it rains, dance in the rain. When there is a power outage, go out there underneath the stars, sing and dance. See the possibilities and embrace life. And the power outage and the storm are just euphemisms for all of the things that can happen in life. So it is my great pleasure to introduce this amazing, amazing lady all the way from Italy, Angela Santi. Welcome to the episode.
Hi there. Hi, Kasturi. Hi, everyone. And I would like to say hi personally to Hugh, Sundus, Alisa, Robin, Tifara, Praven, that I can see. I'm so happy and honored to be here.
Thank you so much, Angela. And today, Angela is going to take us through a journey of why build a Dolce Vita organization and what it takes to build one. And this is going to be fun. You are truly going to enjoy this. So let me give you a brief intro to Angela, and then she's going to talk a little bit about how she got to this point of helping other people embrace this lifestyle. Italian by birth and cosmopolitan by vocation, Angela is the one-of-a-kind Dolce Vita leadership and lifestyle designer for elite entrepreneurs, business owners, and experts. She is fiercely protective of her craft, the art that is the science behind the good life. As such, she has pioneered the 4 pillars of Dolce Vita life mastery model. Working privately with a select group of performers of global leaders, her Mediterranean-infused methodology ascends today's high flyers to unprecedented levels of success while living La Dolce Vita through her bespoke best life blueprint, a transformational implementation of daily business and personal routines and habits falls effortlessly into place. Humanistic by nature, Angela's love for people initially led her to a 20-year HR organizational development career. But here we are now with Angela going to be able to tell us what brought her to this Dolce Vita lifestyle from where she was in HR. Angela, just amaze us, wow us with how you got here.
It's a very long story that I try to summarize very in small bites. So I come from a family of entrepreneurs, and this was key to me because my family really always enabled me and empowered me to live my Dolce Vita since when I was young, to follow my passion and talents and everything. And for, I would say, my 25 years, I traveled all over the world. I studied foreign languages, linguistics, and literature. I am really passionate about the human beings and about connecting. I used to travel by myself. And I say, when people tell me, the Italians, oh, are you traveling by yourself? And I say, I never by myself, because I speak to everyone. So I had such an adventurous and fun life. Then when I ended the university, the no-brainer and natural thing for a woman in my position as the daughter of the entrepreneur was to go and work in the family business. So at that time, the family business was one of the top 10 Italian luxury car distributors for all Italy. So we had all the Ferrari, the Maserati, the Mercedes, all the cool stuff. And I was, always, I like style and I like the Dolce Vita. So because, woo, wow, la Dolce Vita. So I handed there, and I was thrown in my role without mentoring, without instruction, with nothing. And then I was like, oh, what shall I do? And I literally created my role in HR and organizational development. At that time, we were pioneer, because I was very mindful of my people well-being, and I treated my people as if they were my family. This is very Italian, by the way. And they were, we were like 600 and something people over 25 different venues, but we were very, very, very well connected. And inside there, I started pioneering all those people wellness programs in the early 90s when nobody was doing that. So fast forward, the crisis in 2008 hit, and my family business collapsed like this in 9 months. Wow. So I was like, oh, what shall I do now? And this was my first, well, I had many challenges over the previous years, but this was a huge challenge, because in, like this, I found myself without an employment, without my company, without my identity. And this is a very important thing. And even though during those years I was super successful, I was starting to disconnect from my real self, as meaning that I was really needing some role models. And at the time, the role models in my position, and I forgot to say that I was a manager in the HR and organizational development, but I was also a member of the board of directors. And guess what? In the automotive dealership world, they are all men. So I was aping men. I was working the long hours. I was pushing. I was super successful, feeling like a fraud on the other side, because I wasn't really feeling myself. So when everything collapsed, I decided to, like I said, oh, okay, what are my talents? What do I want to do now? So I decided to work as an independent contractor with my own business. And over the years, I decided even more that I valued my Dolce Vita and not commuting all over Italy. So I decided to pivot my business online. And this was 2016. And then now I say, okay, we're all connected in the world. I want to impact the world, because I really feel that this is the time to bring La Dolce Vita all over the world.
Absolutely. What an amazing journey, Angela. And what struck me in that story is you said, as you were being so successful as a woman in a man's world, You didn't feel connected to yourself. And when the collapse happened, you had lost your identity. And a lot of people can relate to that because so many folks have their identity based on their job and their title and what they do. One of the things we talk in this Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks program is the importance of moving away from having our identity tied to what we do, to truly connect with ourselves and get to know ourselves and build that relationship with ourselves and tie that identity to the being that we are, right? And I know the Dolce Vita lifestyle has a lot to do with that journey. So help us understand and help the audience understand, what is Dolce Vita? What does that mean to embrace the Dolce Vita lifestyle?
Okay, so the Dolce Vita, meaning the sweet life, literally, is the Italian bespoke lifestyle. And it's, you know, it's worldwide recognized as one of the most beautiful and, you know, the life quality, high life quality in the world. But it's very interesting to know how La Dolce Vita was born. So La Dolce Vita was born as a concept and as a way of life in the 50s. At the time, Italy was recovering from World War II, and people were really starting from scratch. And this is very interesting because this is something that is happening right now. You know, we can see the parallel. So people were very excited to see the possibility to reconstruct a whole new world. And they were working very hard. Italians are hard workers, by the way, not only pizza and mandolino and just singing. So super hard workers. But at the same time, after those dark years, people also wanted to live in a light-hearted way, to enjoy life, to enjoy beauty, to stay out at night, to connect with people, friends, and, you know, do wonderful things together. People were starting going on holidays, which wasn't, you know, something very, or going out on weekend, which was something that previously, you know, was never been seen. So, and then over the years, this really became something, you know, that we all know. And a very quick thing that I also wanted to say is that it relates very much to another era, that is the Renaissance, after the dark years of the Middle Ages. So now I think that we have, and we can create our new Renaissance, our new worldwide Dolce Vita.
That was a excellently explained historic connotation, Angela. And what I remember during the pandemic, everybody was upset, everybody is scared, everybody didn't know how to deal with being masked and locked up in the house. The most beautiful videos of that time that I have seen is in Italy. Everybody cooked the food, moved their table to the balcony, and everybody ate from their balcony so that they shared a meal with all their neighbors. And some people took their musical instruments and sang. The other people got on the balcony and danced. It was a beautiful experience because what was happening in the world with the pandemic didn't stop Italy from embracing and living that sweet life and truly embracing the moment. And somebody in New York tried that and the neighbors told him to shut up and go inside, right? That's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, this is a really great example of La Dolce Vita. And La Dolce Vita is really something that it's an inside out work. So you can see it from the outside, but first you have to have La Dolce Vita inside you. And it's not only, you know, like going with a fancy Riva motorboat, with a yacht and do luxury things. It's also very small things. And like today, if I can give you a small example, I went to buy the newspaper. And as always, we stop at the newspaper shop, and the people that sell the newspaper know everything about all the customers, and we chat. I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. Why? How come? Where did you go? And then you start connecting with all the people there, talking about the situation, chat 5 minutes, and then go away. This is a very small connection, but it really It's superficial if you want, or really, but it's superficial, but it's deep at the same time. And this is something that Italians are the masters at.
And I truly have experienced it, Angela. I've spent a lot of time for work. You and I have talked about this. My European head of finance, when I was doing mergers and acquisitions for Warren Buffett, he was from Italy. And so spent a lot of time in Italy, loved the Italian food, loved the culture. And as a Sri Lankan, I relate to this. Because culturally, even when we are taking public transportation and going somewhere, in that 15 minutes ride, we know everything about the person sitting next to us. We've exchanged phone numbers, and we have even exchanged our lunch boxes, right? It is one of those things where maybe island people and Italians, we all come from that, something about warm weather and water, maybe. We know to have fun and we know to embrace life, but we also work hard. And that balance, how does that balance then allow us to become La Dolce Vita leader? Talk to us about how can each of us become, what does that journey look like in becoming a La Dolce Vita leader?
Very good question. So the first thing that I would like to point out and to stress is that La Dolce Vita is far more is a balance between work hard and enjoying life, but it's way more expansive than work-life balance. For Italians, work-life balance is too boring. We don't want to have a balance. We want to have the max, for our business and the max for our fun. So how I came to this concept of La Dolce Vita leader. So we know that as a leader, the way we show up in the organization is the way we affect and create the organizational environment and the organizational culture. So when as a leader, we want our employees to be engaged and enthusiastic and, be attached to the work, it can't be something that you can't command that. This is something that has to come from the inside, and it has to come from you first. I remember working when I was a consultant for Italian firms. I remember working for a client. In Italian, we have the saying, you can cut the air with a knife when you get inside, to tell how the stress, you can feel the stress when you get in. And they were always saying, oh, we want our employees to be happy. We want to work on employees' retention. But in reality, they were exactly acting the other way around. So if you want to before becoming a Dolce Vita leader, you have to embody the Dolce Vita in yourself. And how you do that? I like to say that La Dolce Vita is a way to reach your destination, your life destination. And you want to know, first of all, what your life destination, but also what is your definition of La Dolce Vita, like success. Then to reach this destination, you want to have 4 dimensions, which I call the 4 dimensions of La Dolce Vita, aligned and in balance. And these are, Vita stands for vitality, illumination, techniques, and assets. So you want to have your vitality, your energies. So all your habits, all your life should incorporate ways in which you keep your energies and your well-being and your health high. Then illumination is your mindset, is your approach to life, to business, to everything. It's the way, what lights you up. So it's your hobbies, it's connecting with people, whatever. I mean, each one of us has their way, and it's feeling fulfilled, not at the end of your journey, but during your journey. So doing something that lights you up every day, and never postponing pleasure. Pleasure has to be a component of your success. Then we have the techniques. And here I want to introduce my mantra, Discipline is freedom. So you want to play with structure and dance with structure and flexibility all the time. So you need to have systems and strategies and the right routines and habits in place. Otherwise, you're wasting sometimes your time, and you're getting lost. And lack of structure is negative as too much structure. And then your assets. What are your assets? The first asset, it's you, then your relationship, then your skills and ability, your your beliefs. So when you have all those 4 dimensions aligned and in place, you can really live La Dolce Vita.
I love that. I absolutely love hearing you say that. And as I'm listening to you, what comes to my mind is being able to have a positive, optimistic mindset, enjoying the journey, and having structure, and making sure as the world around us changes, we are aligning the structure and we are adjusting it. So La Dolce Vita lifestyle is about continuously transforming. It is continuously improving, and it is continuously embracing work, life, all aspects of our life with just unbridled joy, right? It's that joy, that exuberance, that vitality that creates that positive energy, and that positive energy becomes contagious and it feeds off. So exactly. The picture I'm getting painted in my head is something so joyful, with full of possibilities. And the knowledge that I'm not doing this alone. I have my entire relationship structure here to support me, and we're going to support each other. And it doesn't matter the pandemic. We are going to toast wine to each other, and we are going to eat on our balconies, and we are going to dance the evening.
Yeah. And this is the way. And then we go to the next level. So when the leader is the embodiment of La Dolce Vita, whatever it means for them, now they can bring La Dolce Vita into the organizations. And similarly, we have all those, the 4 dimensions. So La Dolce Vita organization is a human-centric organization. It's like the Vitruvian Man of Leonardo da Vinci, where the man is equally distributed from, in the middle between the sky and the earth and all the other dimensions. So it's human-centric. And then it's based on vitality. So the Dolce Vita leader takes care of the vitality and psychophysical well-being of their people. Then communication, fun, energy, all the ways that you create this. And then illumination, it's the mindset attitude. And you have a great attitude and commitment as an employee when you know that you are trusted, you are heard, you are seen, that you can make an impact. And then you can self-motivate yourself. And we have the techniques. Again, strategies, systems, compensation system, behaviors, like all this flexibility within the structure. And then assets. So what are the assets of a company? So it's a product, definitely, but it's the people. Most important, clients, culture. Culture can be an asset, but also, it can be an enemy if you are not taking care of this. And it's the skills of your employees. So you talked about adapting. So skills, we know, because many of us are HR people, we know that we always have to upgrade our skills and adapt them to the changing situation. So these are the 4 dimensions, but I want to go a little bit further. And I also like to talk about since I come from the automotive industry, I like to think that these 4 dimensions are the wheel of a car that you are driving, somebody, not you, is driving to this destination that you have defined. And by the way, your business destination has to be aligned with your life and lifestyle destination. So you have this destination, you have the car, the 4 wheels. So we can understand if the wheels are not balanced and inflated the same way, the trip will be very, very uncomfortable. Probably we don't even get to the end point. And then we have to have the fuel, which is the energy, which is whatever it can be physical or even, like psychic energy to keep each other go. Then we have the dashboard where all the lights light up, and these are the emotions. And we know that it's very important to take into consideration the emotional, the emotion of the organization and of the single people. And then we have the passengers. So we want to really understand who are the right passengers and who is, also the right, who is the right passenger to get to our car. And we also have these teams, like in a F1, Formula One. So we have to have the right people in the right place, which comes down to illumination. So everything is connected in a circle, and it's growing and energizing.
Amazing how you tied that not just to the automotive industry, but the Formula One. And what that conjures up is, while we are in the race, while we are driving and building the business, La Dolce Vita lifestyle business and leadership, we also need to be able to fix our problems, course correct, and still be in the race. And that's the trick. That is the $1 million trick.
Exactly. And we want to engage all the people. I think about the Ferrari race team. So they're all proud to be in the Ferrari. They are there. You don't have to ask a Ferrari team member, you have to be, at the team on Sunday because, Sunday is holidays. They are just happy to be at the Ferrari. They are proud to work for the Ferrari. And you really, when you go to the Ferrari headquarters, you feel this positive and this amazing energy of being a one and wanting to go everybody, to the same goal.
And the goal is to then build that organization with that contagious positivity. And then it just spreads and spreads, and people are so psychologically safe because they're seen, they're heard, and they're valued. Everybody is showing up and everybody is giving their best, even without being asked.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, what is that we want? We want to be happy. We want to be accomplished. We want to be loved. So these are things that have to be part of the organization. And really, I shouldn't say that, but when the pandemic hit and, all this thing happened, I was like, finally, something is going to change because, as we've seen, many things don't work, are not sustainable anymore. So the Dolce Vita is not about sustainability, is even more. And this is something that we can create now because the old paradigm is gone for good. We truly have the ability to start with a blank slate and build it in a way that it makes us all happy and successful and live an exuberant life. And so, yes, I absolutely love how you're positioning this. And I know the audience here, live audience on the program here, are chomping at the bits to ask questions and share their thoughts. So let's open this up. Ladies and gentlemen, who has a thought or a question for us? Go ahead, Robin.
Let Dr. Bowie go first, because I'm always yapping away. So go ahead, Dr. Bowie.
I appreciate it. You're welcome to go. Like I said, please go ahead.
Let me say, I am just blown away by what you said. Phenomenal. And I'll say that just seeing you on the screen is called a positive intervention.
Thank you very much.
That just looking at you, you can see that you exude and you manifest what it is that you are trying to share with the world and teach with the world. So that is really great. I love your acronym, the Vita, and I also loved how you used the car trip as an analogy. And I'm really passionate about helping organizations be more humane, ethical, and resilient. That's kind of my little tagline. And what you're describing can lead to that sort of organization where people as individuals are using that. So my question would be, how have you helped the leaders of organizations realize that they need to bring these elements to the organization? Oftentimes organizations are just about, what's the bottom line? What's the bottom line? But as you said, when the pandemic hit, things are going to change. And now here in the US, the phrase called the Great Resignation, where 40% of people are considering, they may or may not do it, but they're considering changing their careers, which could be seismic within the economy as a whole. So how is it that you help leaders of organizations realize, I need to bring this to the organization?
Very good question, because generally leaders don't realize that they are, we say in Italian, the fish smells from the head. So they are the trigger for everything. And they try to fix, quote unquote, the other people, not themselves. So I have to say, admittedly, they have to be ready for that. And they have to be ready to connect what's happening into the organization with their behavior. Say that some of them are, from my experience, I have experienced leaders that want people to be very productive and yet change priority of their team all the time and interrupt their team all the time. And they say, oh, they're doing nothing. What is this? And da, da, da. So you really have to help them see and connect the dots, and help them connect and understand the cost, because many of them just see the invoice. This is a cost, but organizational costs, process costs don't exist because they don't see they are intangible. So the challenge is to help them connect the dot between what is happening between inside the organization, if there is a high turnover, and how they are showing up. But they have to be ready, because if they're not ready, there is nothing you can do.
Yeah.
And something that I have decided, I will not work for those organizations that are not ready, even if they hire me to, quote unquote, fix their employees and they are on a totally different page. This doesn't work. This is not ethical. You were talking about ethic, so everybody wants to be aligned. So what I do is I prefer to work with the leader and then have somebody else that simultaneously works with the team. If the leaders is not on board, nothing is working for me.
Yeah, beautiful.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I like you said, it's saying ethical. It's not going to change if the leader isn't on board. It comes from the top. So I love what you just said. Thank you so much.
Thank
What
you.
an interesting conversation. And what I have run into working with major global corporations that I headquartered out of the US, there is this notion that people at the top have, that if you are happy and you're vivacious and you are embracing that vitality, then you don't have enough to do and you're not stressed enough. And as a female executive in these organizations, having been a CFO and driving strategy, I get told, if you were not already where you are, we would have not even hired you because you're too happy, you're too vibrant, you're too out there, and you're too friendly with everybody, and you're too kind. CFOs are not supposed to be kind. And my answer always to them is, you know what? I'm a human being who embraces every ounce of my God-given gift of life, who happens to be a CFO. I'm not a CFO who happens to be a person, because that presupposes Martians are going to come here. So when Martians come, we'll have this conversation. But until then, you're going to deal with me. Mm-hmm. But I can do that because I am at that executive level. But when employees are starting out, their vitality and their exuberance is snuffed out because the leaders don't want that in the workplace. What advice do you have for young people who feel like, oh my God, I have to show up like somebody died every day and just work like a machine, and I can't be myself?
I would say look around and go somewhere else, because probably this organization is not aligned with who you are, what you want from your life. And you know what? After sometimes you will become like the frog in the pot, you know. So
Yeah.
you will not show up as in your full authenticity. You will start feeling like a fraud. You were always, you know, like compressed, and after a while you go in burnout. So if you are gifted, and if you, so go away before you start questioning, you know, double questioning yourself. Because in this organization, I like to say they are the wrong pond for the swan, you know, for the black duck who was a swan and wasn't, you know, just a duck. So probably you're a swan in the wrong pond. Go and look for another pond.
Beautifully said. Thank you. Thank you so much, Angela. Go ahead, Dr. Bowie.
It's a pleasure. Great presentation, and really enjoy your talk. And I think the messages resonate well. And, I think your answer, my question in the beginning with Robin too, was about just wanting to work with organizations that are ready. And you don't want it to be a situation where you walk in and deal with organizations that are not ready, because when you don't have that buy-in, like you said, from the very top, you're just going through the motions, and really in the end, nobody's happy. The person that's consulting you is not happy, and you don't feel good about it either, because you ultimately, that it's not going to produce the results that you need. So that's really nice to hear that as a consultant, you're not just there to kind of like do the business, but you really want to make an impact and where everybody's happy in the end. So I really commend you for that. I was just thinking about the talk about, leadership, how, I think, the future generation dominant workforce, millennials and Gen Z are gonna, the message that you provided will resonate well with them as the future generation and the future of work as a dominant workforce. It's the leaders that are not on board with this completely yet. And I think the ones that are not ready for the future of work, how to kind of align those two things together, because the other generations are gonna, fade away and retire. Baby boomers and Gen X are like myself are, we're not the dominant workforce. So I think those leaders are need to get on board, because if they don't, I think, to recruit the top talent is going to be a lot more difficult. And I think, the future workforce is going to expect a lot more out of their leaders today. And that message is going to be important, that you said it starts, they need to buy in, because I think the workforce is ready for that type of leader now. And we want that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that those kind of leaders should be faced, with the consequences and the costs, because there are some organizations that take pride, and in America, even more than in Italy, even though in Italy we have those kind of organizations, take pride for, like stressing out the people and exhausting the people, because this is the way. So another thing that I wanted to say is it's useless to work, say, with a person inside an organization that is not aligned with this. So, like some big, like Morgan Stanley, all these kind of places where they take pride on the push. So, and yet the organization has to change from the top. The other thing that I wanted to say is that it's interesting to see that the Z gens and the millennials should start learning more structure, because I don't think that it's realistic to rely on experience and, on all the, only on this. When it comes to being, in business, you have to work hard, but smart and hard on the right things.
Mhm.
Okay, some of them just want to have, like, well, I've done it before. Maybe I go to, I don't know, to India, and then I go to Thailand, and I do this and this and this. I don't want to do that. It depends. So there must be, you have to find the sweet spot.
Absolutely. And the key is then, Angela, to integrate the 4 elements of the Vita, right? So structure is important as much as you're embracing the experience.
Exactly. And then the more you are structured, and say the more you have the right processes, the right routines, the right boundaries, which is a big topic, boundaries on every angle, the more flexible you can be. And you also, when I say discipline is freedom, you have to be disciplined to have the time for freedom, but you also have to be very, very disciplined in finding your freedom moment, and like setting boundaries, respecting your schedule and all that. And also respecting the way you function as a human being. Like for me, in the morning, I'm like a diesel car of the 70s, the one that took like half an hour before the now we say a diesel car. Now modern diesel cars don't do it anymore, but the old diesel car used to do it. So like it takes me hours. So generally in the morning, since I'm working, by myself, I organize myself in a way that I keep all the activities that I do well in the morning and not in the afternoon, and so on and so forth. So each one of us should know that, and as much as possible, try to organize this way.
Insightful tips. Thank you so much, Angela. And Tafara, I see you're here, and I know you are part of building a organization in Belize, the Optimist Club. And I'm wondering if you have any questions for Angela to share in terms of how can we take some of these steps and integrate into how we are building a better Belize.
Hi, good morning. Well, a lot of what she said a lot of what Angela said really resonated with me, because I remember, I spent 12 years working in New York. And when I first got into the corporate world, I was doing accounting as well. I made a really conscious effort to make sure that I was looking for a company where I would have that work-life balance and that freedom, to kind of set my schedule and not be working to death. And it was something that was innately a part of who I was and what I knew that I wanted for my life. So, every organization that we've started in Belize, we've kind of tried to keep that in mind, that's the kind of work environment that we want. So it's really great to hear that, that's the kind of leadership that could lead to success. And I really also love the point about organizing your day around, who you are, because I find that a lot of times we try to force ourselves into what we think is expected. But the more we're true to who we are and who we work, what we're good at, I think that's really what brings out the best in people. So we try, one of the things we really try to do is observe where people fit the best, instead of trying to force them into positions, or them trying to force their own selves into positions where they think they should be, only to find out that maybe, that's not your strong point. So it's funny because we feel like we take a lot of time trying to figure that out, but I think it's valuable, in the long run of trying to see where people fit rather than forcing them. So I think, maybe one of my biggest questions is, I guess, do you just kind of go through the motions? Is there some kind of shortcut, points that you can do to make sure that you're putting people in the right place and, making sure that they fit where they are?
So I would say you have to know very well where you want to go, what are your processes, and what's the goal of your processes. Then understand the environment, because I like to say I was in the recruitment, something which I didn't like to do because you have to judge people. But so when you recruit, It's like, for me, it's like having a very big puzzle, and all the pieces of the puzzle have to fit together, not only from the skill set standpoint, but also from the human part. So you want to know that, you want to be very clear on what the goal of these people is, what they want to do. So what are the skill set, and what is that lights them up, how they interact with other people, and all that. And then I am a very, very strong believer on the fostering the superpowers instead of trying to squeeze, a person and make this person like me. I've always been terrible in math. I don't like it at all.
Mhm.
So my mom, she was a math professor, and she was trying to teach me math all the time. So finally, the calculators were allowed at school, and I was like, okay. So, and I have chosen something, for my life that, well, of course, when you do business, you have to know the figures, but I'm not the one who does it, So really try to understand what are the superpower and foster them. And also the person should really be very important, aligned from the value standpoint. Having people, values are something that can be a yes or a no for me to go and to work for a company.
Right. Thank you.
Sure.
Excellent question, Tafara. And Angela, this has been an amazing conversation. You have given us all some good food for thought, and also tips on how to start shaping this new world we're in and set the foundation right, because very rarely in our lifetime do we get to hit the reset button. So as we bring this to a close, what is one piece of advice you have for everybody that they can start doing to become part of this movement of La Dolce Vita lifestyle?
Okay, so my advice is schedule some Dolce Vita time, no matter what it is. If it's 5 minutes, if it's 1 hour, it doesn't matter, in your day. And in Latin, we say carpe diem, which is seize the moment. So every moment is the right moment for pleasure. And just be gentle with yourself. Allow yourself to enjoy some moment of sheer pleasure in every day, and to that lights you up. And everything changes when you can do something pleasure.
Thank you so much. That is good advice for all of us, because when we take moments for ourselves, we are truly embracing us, and we are connecting with our being, which then helps us enhance our identity and have a better relationship with ourselves. Therefore, we can build better relationships with others. That is such a investment in self in the way you explained it. It has been such an honor and a pleasure to have you today with us, Angela, and we invite you to continue to be a part of the Goldilocks community, bring your wisdom, help us spread this message and build our shared prosperity so that we can all live La Dolce Vita lifestyle. And who knows, the whole world will become La Dolce Vita. And that is the goal, right?
Exactly. This is the goal. So thank you very much for inviting me. It was a honor. Really, I enjoyed so much. And thank you for all the people that are listening, who participated and who asked me those beautiful and very, very good questions.
Thank you. And as we go through life, remember, our human relationships, starting with ourselves and moving towards other people, that is what's shaping us. Our human interactions are our opportunity for transformation. So go out there and transform life and enjoy embracing the moments, enjoy being who you are and connecting with who you are. And feel free to go and check us out on our YouTube channel, subscribe and watch this episode, watch our prior episodes, find ways to connect with our special guests and build your Dolce Vita lifestyle, build your vitality, bring structure into your life. And in the process, become who you are meant to be.